This video has been brought to you by DataVinci Analytics Agency. So in my last video, I discussed what exactly is a tag. I'm just revising it briefly over here. So tags are nothing but they're snippets of codes that you get from your tool provider, which if you place properly at appropriate places on your website, you would be able to install the respective tools. Example of tags is something like this. So this is a tag of Google Tag Manager. If you place this code on all the pages on your website, Google Tag Manager would be installed for you. Now, in this video, we are going to discuss what is a tag manager and how it helps. So I'm going in too much detail over here so that you can explain to anyone the fundamentals about tag manager. Before moving further, I would like to invite you to join up a free group on Facebook, the Digital Optimization League. It's a group dedicated to digital analytics. Here we cover various topics on digital analytics like conversion rate optimization, tag management, data visualization, Adobe Analytics, Google Tag Manager, Google Analytics, Telium, and various other things. So looking forward to meet you here. Alright, so what is Tag Manager? Tag Manager is used to host HTML and JavaScript tags of various third-party tools. If you do not know what are third-party tools, so any tools which you do not own, you can subscribe to them but you do not own them, are the third-party tools. Okay. Tag Manager greatly reduces the dependency on the development team. Tag Manager centralizes all the tags at one place, that is within the Tag Manager. It makes it very easy to publish, update, or remove the tags on a site. It takes away the requirements of coding to a huge extent for firing the tags on special cases like click interactions, etc. So we are going to cover this in detail, alright, so that you can understand thoroughly the concept. So let's assume that you are not using a tag manager. There is no such solution as tag manager, and then you need to put the tags, various third-party tags for your marketing and analytics on the website. So what would be the complications with this thing? So number one would be dependent on IT. Let's assume that you are a business person or you work in a company which has multiple teams. IT takes care of the entire tech stack. So if you want to put a code on the site, so you're dependent on IT, then multiple locations plus special cases, the tags are required in multiple locations, and then there are tool updates and removals that are required. So these are the three complications. Let's discuss more, just exaggerate this pain, what happens if we do not use a tag manager. So complication one, as I said, is dependency on the IT department. So understand this thing. When you are putting a code on the site, you are putting a tag on the site. So you are actually changing the code of the site of the web app, right? Now, what's the fundamental requirement for this? That you need to have the access to the code base. You need to have the access to the relevant location where you can go and make the changes to the code of the site. Now, who will do this? Someone who is having this access, and in most companies, who has this access? It's either the IT or the dev team or the tech team. Those are the gatekeepers of what goes into the code of the site. Not everyone can just go and say, okay, this is the code, I'm just replacing the code. That it does not work like that, particularly in big organizations, right? So the problem with that approach is that mostly the IT companies are very busy. Okay, they're already pressed with a lot of tech updates that are going on. Now, the other challenge is that IT companies work with sprint cycles. So the sprints can be anywhere between 2 weeks to 2 months. But what exactly is a sprint? Sprint is that they decide upon a set of products, or decide upon a set of features that they would be adding to the website, and they work on that list, and they freeze that list, and then when they start working, they set a target that, okay, this is the list that we have decided, these are the features that we would work, and those features would go live at the end of the sprint cycle. So let's say if the sprint is for 2 months, so those features would be enabled on the site after 2 months. Now, if you go in between of the sprint cycle and you say that add this code as well, so depending upon the flexibility of the IT team, it can happen that your request is rejected. So then you have to wait for the next sprint cycle to start and close, and then only your changes would be made live. All right. So that slows down the things. Complication number two, the codes or the tags will be required at multiple places on the site. And the codes and the tags will be required at different events like order completions or lead submissions, etc. So most of the tags, be it the marketing or the analytics tags, so there is something called the base tag, and that is required at all the web pages on the site where you want to track things, right? On top of that, there are special events that you want to track. So for example, if you're using Facebook Pixel, so you would want to track the page loads of where all the user is going, but you would also want to send the data to Facebook regarding the conversions, like order completions or lead submissions and things like that. Now, to make sure that these things that it has been implemented in multiple places, and all the special conditions of order completions and lead submissions and etc have been done properly by the IT team. So that would need audits and validations. Alright, so it's not that easy to do that, to take care of every event and every page load. The third one, any modification is rework and cumbersome. So for example, let's say you are using a tool, okay, and after some time you realize you can do with a better tool. You do not need this tool, so you want to remove that tool. Why would you keep a code on your site if you're not using it, right? So if you have to remove the code, then what would be the process? You have to find out where all that code resides, okay? So you have to locate that code on all the places on the website and then remove it. So that's not going to be very easy, all right? The another case can be, let's say that there is an update. So Facebook says that you have been using my Facebook Pixel, but I have improved the features and you have to update the code, okay? And once you update the code, you would be able to utilize those features. Now, how would this also happen? You have to first locate where all across the site this particular code exists, and then you have to make the update. So that is not going to be again very easy. That again requires a lot of audits and validations. So the three complications, I hope you understood that if you're not using a tag manager, you would be dependent on the ID. You have to make sure that you are installing the tags properly across multiple locations, and you are taking care of the special cases. And third, there are tool updates and removals and those things that are required. So for that, thorough audits and validations are required. All right. Now, all this, as you might agree, that this requires time and resources, and that's why there was the need for something called a tag manager. Now, how does a tag manager help in addressing these challenges? Let's understand that. So the first challenge, as we discussed, was dependency on the IT. Now, once you start using a tag manager, the IT does a one-time installation of the tag manager's code on the site only. Okay. So once you start using tag manager, you can assume that you would be using like 95 to 90% of the codes of the tags within the tag manager. You would not be going time and again to the IT to install the codes of the different tags once you start using the tag manager. Okay, so the IT needs to just install the tag manager's code once on all the pages on the site, and then you can host all your tags within the interface of the tag manager. Now, the control is more in the hands of the marketing team or the analytics team, and there is less dependency on the IT. This is the way tag manager greatly reduces the dependency on the IT. All right. The second challenge was installing the codes at multiple locations and then special cases that need to be taken care of. So the IT installs just the tag manager's code on all the pages on the site. Now the loading logic of the tools are handled within the tag manager's interface. So most of the tag manager, okay, they provide you a very intuitive and somewhat simpler approach to handle how the various tags that you are hosting within the interface of tag manager would be loaded on your website. Okay, now where to load the tag, when to load the tag, where to remove it, and those things are not controlled by the IT. You can just control it within the interface of tag manager. So that is how tag manager helps in addressing the challenge when you need the tag to go on multiple locations, and then there are special cases. All those things you can handle within the tag manager by providing the various conditions. Okay, the third was tool updates and removals. Now, since all your tags are at one place, that is the tag manager, so you do not need to go and locate the tag at each and every place on the website. Once you make an update within the interface of the tag manager and publish that update would be published across all the locations where that particular tag resides. Alright, so for example, if I have to update the code for Facebook, I can just open the tag within my tag manager that is hosting the Facebook code. I can make the change over there and I can simply publish that change, and tag manager would take care of rolling out that change for all the Facebook tags that I am publishing via my tag manager. I do not need to do that separately for each and every tag. Alright, so Again, revising what is a tag manager, I hope you have now some understanding. The tag manager is used to host the tags, mostly HTML and JavaScript, of various third-party tools. You understood that it greatly reduces the dependency on the development team. It centralizes all the tags at one place, that is within the tag manager interface. It makes it very easy to publish, update, or remove the tags on the site. It takes away the requirement of coding to a huge extent for firing the tags on the site for special cases like click interactions, etc. Now, if someone asks you what is a tag manager and you provide this definition, you cover these 5 points, then your definition is perfect. All right. Now, what are some popular tag managers? The first one is usual suspect, that is Google Tag Manager, which happens to be the most popular tag manager on the planet. Then there is Telium Tag Manager. Google Tag Manager, as you know, is supposedly free. It comes as a part of Google marketing stack, but Telium Tag Manager is a paid solution, is a standalone solution. So it has obviously more features than Google Tag Manager, and some companies are averse to sharing data with a free platform or sharing data with Google Tag Manager, because if you're taking Google Tag Manager, which is a free platform, they have the data, you do not have the data, and ultimately you do not know that how that data would be used. And some companies, the security teams, might have concerns that we do not want to share our data with a free platform, because nothing is free in general. They have their purpose of providing you this solution for supposedly free. Okay, the third one is Adobe Launch, or which was formerly known as Dynamic Tag Manager. So Adobe Launch is not a standalone tag management solution, as in you cannot go and buy Adobe Launch alone. It comes as a complementary product along with the Adobe Experience Cloud Stack or Adobe Marketing Cloud Stack. So if you're using Adobe Analytics, you would get Adobe Launch as a complementary tag management solution, and you can host all your tags within Adobe Launch instead of using any other tag manager like Google Tag Manager or Telium Tag Manager. Okay. The fourth one is Untitled, which is again like Telium, a free standalone tag management solution. So that is another alternative to Telium for companies who do not want to share their data with Google Tag Manager for free, or companies who are not using the Adobe Launch, Adobe Analytics stack, so that they can use Adobe Launch. Okay. Final one is Google Tag Manager 360, which is part of the premium suite of Google Analytics. So that's a paid alternative to Google Analytics or Google Tag Manager itself. So the advantage of using Google Tag Manager 360 is that the interface of Google Tag Manager and the Google Tag Manager 360 is more or less the same. So many people are skilled in Google Tag Manager because that is the tool that is most widely available to practice. So if any organization is planning to take Google Tag Manager 360, so they would not have difficulty in onboarding resources or people who know how to work with this tool. And the advantage of Google is obvious, that it integrates seamlessly with all the marketing and analytics pixels that are particularly within the Google stack. So like Google Tag Manager, DoubleClick, and all those things. And Google happens to be, as you know, the most popular marketing platform. So that's the advantage of Google Tag Manager, and Google Tag Manager 360 gives you the control of your data and gives you more security assurance and things like that. Okay. Now, time for some caveats that you need to keep in mind before you decide upon using a tag manager, or even if you are using a tag manager within your organization, you can consider these things and introduce certain standard operating procedures to make sure that tag manager is safely utilized. All right. Now, just answer this simple question: who can keep the site more secure and functional? Is it the IT person or the marketing person? Now, this question might seem very obvious to you, but this question might be asked to you if you're proposing the solution of tag management. So it's obvious that the IT person can keep the site more secure and functional because that's their core competency, right? But once you start using a tag manager, okay, so as we discussed earlier, the marketing person now has too much control on the site. Okay, and if the marketing person uses the site recklessly, okay, if the code is not properly tested and the codes are published, then the site can also get disrupted because of tag manager. Because using tag manager, you are hosting new HTML and JavaScript based codes, and if those codes are not properly placed, then the entire user experience can get disrupted. So it can also affect the user security and privacy because you are hosting various third-party tags. So you do not know what those tags are actually doing. Okay, so some agency or some tool might tell you that, okay, this is a great tool, these are the benefits, but behind the scenes what those tools are doing, you do not know. Okay, so it can affect the user security and privacy. It can also make the site slow, because if you keep on loading the tags just like that without having any kind of standard operating procedure with the tag manager, the site would get slow because you're bloating the content that you're loading on the site. All right, so it's a good solution. Tag manager is a very good solution. It is one of the finest solutions that came in the digital marketing stack in the last 2 decades, and you can keep these things in mind. And if you follow these rules properly that I'm going to discuss, then you can be very sure that you would be able to use tag manager properly. So just go through these and please try to incorporate this as a standard operating procedure within your organization when it comes to usage of tag manager. So the first thing that is very simple to do is install only the popular tools using the tag manager, the tools which have proper history and reputation. Okay, it's very easy to follow. Don't install new kinds of tools. Don't just randomly install tools that you come across Google or Stack Overflow and things like that. Try to install only popular tools. Try not to be a guinea pig. Okay, what happens is that some people they take pride in telling that, okay, I am ahead of the trend, I am someone who tries new things. So it's fine, you can take pride in that, but just do not extend that to the tag manager usage. If there is a new tag, if you think that some solution is promising and you have come across it, then if it's not popular, then it's better to discuss first with your IT. So there's no harm in discussing that solution with your tech team or the dev team, taking an approval and second opinion from there, and then going on and installing that tag on your site, because you do not know what that tag is doing behind the scenes. You are not a coding expert, or like most people are not coding experts. You might be, but still, if you want to establish a process in your company, then you need to make sure that it's foolproof. All right, I have had this incident in the past where we were given a tag, and that tag was supposedly doing the collection of the marketing data, but while we were debugging that, we found that that tag had a Google Analytics code as well. Okay, so they were tracking our data in their Google Analytics account without our permission. So they were tracking the data of our users without our permission. Now understand the consequences of this thing. Suppose you are in Europe, okay, and you install a random tag, and that tag has Google Analytics. That tag does what it tells you that it will do, but it also does something extra which the tag vendor has not told you about, and that tag vendor is not following the GDPR norms. Okay, so you can get into a great trouble because of that. So that's why if you're using a tag manager, try to use tools which are popular and which have proper history. Okay, the third one is document all updates properly. So whenever you are making any updates to the tag manager, you are publishing something, just put why this publish was made, why this update was made, what was the business reason, business requirement, who was the person who requested for this, what was the source of these tags. So this adds a proper accountability. So in future, if you want to see, or if you're doing any kind of cleanups, right, you want to make the tag manager lean, you want to get rid of the tags which you're not using so that your site speed is proper. So if you have a description like this, you can properly just go and discuss with the stakeholder that you requested for this tag. Is the business using this now or not? And if the answer is no, you can go ahead and remove that tag. Often it becomes very difficult to do the tag cleanups because there are so many tags and we do not know what each and every tag is doing or how each and every tag might affect something. Alright, so try to put all the updates properly. Fourth one, test. I can write this 1,000 times more, but it's very critical that you test everything thoroughly. Okay, most of the tag managers, be it Google Tag Manager, Telium, Adobe Launch, all these tag managers provide a very good medium to test the updates within the tag manager before making it live for everyone. Okay, so try to test everything, not only what the tag claims that it would do, but also try to test for other things. Try to check all the calls in your browser network tab that are associated with this tag. Okay, so test it properly. Final thing, if it's possible, give the red button to the IT team. What I mean by that, So you can make all the updates within the tag manager. You can introduce a tag, you can set the logic of firing that tag or logic of publishing that tag. You can configure that tag for whatever requirements are there. But the final validation of whether this tag is safe to go on the site or not is within the control of the IT team. As I mentioned that the core competency of the IT team is to make the site functional and secure. So they can just look at the tag and they can do a simple validation and they can tell you that whether this tag is safe or not. This is obviously going to be slower as compared to what you would do when you directly publish the tag. But understand, this is faster if you are not using a tag manager. So you're in a sweet spot where you are ensuring speed as well as security of the website, and this becomes fairly critical when you are working with websites which are having critical user data like banking sites or any site which is having some kind of interaction, payment information, or in general user data which is sensitive. Okay, now if you keep these points in mind, then tag manager is going to be one of the best solutions that you will have in your digital analytics and marketing stack. Even after this, if your team is not convinced, then what you can do is just go to the competition site and find out that whether they are using tag manager or not. Chances are very likely that they are using the tag manager and they are using the benefits that the tag manager provides. And if you are not using those benefits, if you are relying too much on your IT team, then you are giving a competitive advantage to your competition. Okay, even after that, if your team is not convinced, then maybe they have their reasons, and just try to find them out. Try to convince them. If they are not convinced, then as I said, they have their reasons, or maybe you are at a wrong company. All right, so tag manager is a great tool. It's a very powerful tool. Just keep in mind while using it that with great power comes great responsibility.